Hi, Mickey from Flipping Spain here. In today's video, I want to take a look at what a rental property would be like in Calahorra versus Logroño. So in our past deal analysis, we looked at two rentals in the city of Calahorra itself and compared those. And then we looked at the flip deals between Logroño and Calahorra, and we found Calahorra just had better opportunity. So what we haven't done is look at rentals in Logroño. And the reason I want to do that is because property prices aren't that different between the two cities, but rental prices are. So it stands to reason we should be able to make a better profit in Logroño. Now, I've already covered the detailed step-by-step deal analysis process in those other videos, and I'll link them throughout so you can go check them out if you haven't seen that already. But for today, I've done all the heavy lifting for you. All the research is done. All we're going to do is do a quick overview of the property, quick overview of different types of rental rates, and then we're going to plug it all into the spreadsheet and see what we come up with. Before we start that, I just want to remind you of our criteria. So we're looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom property. We want it to cost less than €100,000. It cannot be higher than the second floor if there's no elevator, and we do not want to be in the really noisy old town. So let's take a look and see what we can find. As I said, I've done all the heavy lifting, but I'll just do a quick overview of what I looked at. I don't want to have to do any rehab. Don't mind doing some zhuzhing. We can paint, we can fresh things up, make them look nicer, but I'm just looking for something that's rental quality that I can live in and then rent out the extra rooms. So I did the same thing where I searched for 3 bedrooms and above, under $100,000, and I did it by the lowest price per square meter so that we get the most space for our money. So I just had a flick through and I chose this property, which is in the center area of town, but not the old town. It's under $100,000. It's 4 bedrooms. It's second floor without a lift, which is as high as I would want to go. And it's definitely more traditional. But if we take out all this big, heavy furniture, I mean, the kitchen's in good shape. It's a decent size. It has full-size fridge, bathroom, lovely blue color. And I really am not a fan of this, 80s, 90s glass countertop. But there's space in there. It's clean. It looks in good shape. The bedrooms look really large. Even this is a single bed, but it's still a big room. You could do a double in there. So just get rid of the built-ins, do some nice sleek furniture, fresh coat of paint on the walls. If there's even a little storage area. All in all, it meets our needs. And then here's an overview of rental prices. Now, when we looked in Calahorra, we were assuming a median rent of $280 per room. But here, $280 is the low end. So we can see it goes as high as $400 even. So this is our neighborhood. I did filter this out by people who are willing to share with 2 or 3 or more people rather than filtering it by how many rooms are in the house. So we get a pretty good cross section. $350, this is a pretty basic looking apartment. The furniture is not particularly fancy. $450, this bathroom is comparable to ours. Kitchen maybe a bit nicer. I would say $350 is going to be a reasonable rent. It's pretty middle of the road. And we don't really want tenants that are looking for the cheapest. They can have the cheap places. Take the people who are willing to pay a little more to find the right roommates and the right location. Also worth taking a look at Airbnb, even though the plan would be to live in it. For now, the long-term plan might be to rent it out in its entirety. Logroño, I think, is a bit more of a destination than Calahorra because it's close to Haro. It's a big wine destination, so probably not going to get people coming for a month. These prices are ridiculous. Let's see, this is $2,000. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, I think anything that's being Airbnb'd is going to be significantly different quality than what our place is now or the money that we want to put in it. I think you probably could get away with it, but I would definitely want to target like being the cheapest thing in town or the most reasonably priced thing, let's say, because I'm just not a fan of how Airbnb has gone out of control. Okay, Airbnb politics aside, so let's plug some numbers in. here's our 4-bed in Calahorra. We are going to keep all the utilities and basic numbers the same because I feel like they're going to be fairly comparable. So the only thing that'll be different are the rents. So if we did do it as a furnished short-term rental, which is not really the strategy we're going to look at right now, but I'm just going to put it in for the fun of it. There was one thing at $1,900. So let's just say $2,000 because that's the cheapest thing out there. And if you remember this maintenance reserve line, we've really dropped that down. It should be like 1% of the purchase price, but we've done it to 1/4% just because the numbers don't work with the rentals. Now, this is not good practice, but we're doing it because like this apartment in particular that we're looking at today is in really good shape. And if we inspect it well up front, we shouldn't have anything major that we have to do. So it would be more like a community thing where the building itself needs to redo the facade or something and we all have to chip in. So we're still saving $2,300 a year towards that. And we're just going to hope that that's sufficient. So let's go down to the rental section. Here, $1,800 was like a reasonable price, but that's like undercutting everyone. So I think we can just say $2,000. It's still going to be ridiculously cheap compared to the neighborhood. Now, our long-term monthly rent, this is where we're going to make some money because here we did $280 times 3 for the 3 spare bedrooms. Here we're going to do $350 times 3. So here where we're cash flowing $130, sorry, 130 euro. I should change my symbols, sorry. We're cash flowing 244 euro, which is quite a bit more. So that's great. And remember, I'm living here, so I'm not paying rent. So I'm getting paid $240 a month to live in my own apartment. So this is a better deal. Now I'm curious if it's a better deal because the price is so low. So if we paid $120,000 here, it does make a difference, yeah. So it just goes to show you that buying is where you make your money, no matter what kind of deal you're doing. While we're doing what ifs, we could also say, let's say that we buy this at this price, and then we put 15 grand into it in order to make it a really nice Airbnb. So that will be 110,000. I can do math. All in. We're going to have some more expenses, so let's put in our cleaning fees. Say we rent it weekly, so maybe we're only cleaning 4 times a month, and then we can charge, let's say $2,500, which is still way cheap. So then we're making $1,000 a month. We could try and bump it up. $1,400 a month. That's pretty good. Probably gonna have to pay some property management and stuff on top of that. It's not my favorite strategy, just because I don't think you're going to consistently rent it for that 12 months out of the year. Now, we can also then think in terms of long term, what if I move out and I rent out all the rooms? Then we can just change that to times 4. And then suddenly we're making $800 a month after all our expenses, except for taxes, which is something we'll have to talk about in a later video. But that's a nice little profit. We have a rule we call the 1% rule in the US. A lot of investors use it where if you're going to pay $95,000 for a property, you should be able to rent it for $950 a month, which is 1%. And we can rent it for $1,400, which is almost 1.5%. So that's a pretty good return. And the fact that we're making almost 1% with our cash flow gives me the idea that this is a good investment. Much better than the one in Calahorra. I guess we should do apples to apples here. Let's see if we rent that all out. Now this is an interesting thing because I'm doing this by room. So I'm giving it a by room price where if we look, you can get an $800 a month 4-bedroom. Another one, $850. Wow, that's fancy. It's got an elevator. $900. These are pretty comparable in quality to ours. So let's go down and look at the most expensive ones. We'll do it furnished. Yeah, see that's nice for $1,200. It's not quite, ours is not quite looking like that. Curious to see what 3 bedrooms are. See, this is why research is good. You start asking yourself questions. And yeah, so 3 bedrooms drop down to $650, $700, which is pretty much in line with what we were looking at in Calahorra. That's half of what, well, let's say we could probably rent it for $900 a month. So if we rented it all out at a low conservative number of 900, we're still making money, but doing it by the room is far better. And then, as I said in the other video, if you have 4 different contracts with 4 different tenants, yes, it's a little more administration on your side, but if one moves out and I go back down to having only 3, I'm still making money. So it reduces your risk quite significantly. Even if 2 of them move out, what happens? 2 of them move out, then you're renting it for what a low-end 4-bedroom would rent for, and you're still making money, and you have the opportunity to fill those 2 rooms. All right, well, it looks like today, Logroño for the win. And I can't say that I'm terribly surprised, but I am pleasantly surprised, because it just opens up a lot more options. In Logroño, we have lower priced, better value property, and that's probably just because there's more available. We've got higher rents, particularly when we charge by room, which is the less risky strategy that I like. And we've got more demand. It's a university town, it's a tourist town, and that all just means we have more options as a potential landlord. So thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.